The most explosive chapter in 2010 began when John Dodson, Agent John Dodson, had spent years working undercover on the streets of Phoenix. What he stumbled into was not a hidden cartel hideout, but an internal instruction, one that would unravel into a national scandal. In late 2009 and through 2010, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives quietly authorized a controversial tactic: allow suspected straw purchasers to buy weapons so agents could follow them to Mexican cartel hands. The program, codenamed Operation Fast and Furious, was born of a brutal logic: let the guns walk to build bigger criminal cases. Instead, they walked into blood. Dodson and other field agents raised alarms. They watched months of surveillance fail to trail the weapons. When two semi-automatic rifles were found at the December 2010 murder scene of U.S. Border Patrol agent Brian Terry near the Arizona border, the crisis exploded into the open. Tracing led back to sales that the ATF had knowingly allowed. The scene, an American agent killed, weapons linked to a federal operation, turned a tactical experiment into a political firestorm. Congress demanded answers. Whistleblowers testified that supervisors had prioritized intelligence collection over immediate interdiction. The Department of Justice Inspector General launched an inquiry, and in 2012 released a report that used the blunt phrase "gunwalking" and concluded the operation reflected poor oversight, flawed strategy, and failures to coordinate with Mexican law enforcement. The investigation documented lost opportunities to interdict weapons before they crossed the border and criticized the decision-making chain inside ATF and the U.S. Attorney's Office in Arizona. The scandal widened. House committees subpoenaed documents. Attorney General Eric Holder resisted some requests, citing prosecutorial privilege. And in June 2012, the House voted to hold him in contempt for not turning over certain internal memos. Public hearings were sharp and televised. Agents who had served on the case described doubts. Supervisors defended the strategy as trying to build higher-value cases, and family members of Brian Terry demanded accountability. The optics were damning. An agency entrusted with preventing arms flows to cartels had engineered a risky plan that left weapons in the hands of violent criminal networks. Investigations found no blockbuster criminal conspiracy at the highest levels, no deliberate plot to arm cartels for nefarious political ends, but they did find systemic failure. Multiple reports concluded that the ATF's Project Gunrunner initiatives reflected unacceptable risk, poor communication, and a breakdown between field personnel and headquarters. The tragedy of Brian Terry's death became the emblem of those failures, a stark reminder that policy experiments have human costs. Fast and Furious prompted changes. Oversight tightened. The Department of Justice and ATF revised protocols about controlled purchases and coordination with foreign partners. The scandal also left a longer shadow. It deepened mistrust between federal law enforcement and Congress, sharpened the political debate over gun trafficking and border security, and underscored how covert tactics can generate blowback when safeguards fail. Today, historians and policy analysts still point to Fast and Furious as a cautionary case study: how intelligence goals can be poorly matched to operational realities, how whistleblowers inside agencies can become the conscience of a system, and how accountability in democratic institutions must contend with secrecy. John Dodson's decision to speak up turned an internal gripe into a national reckoning. That explosive chapter in 2010 did not end in tidy closure. It left questions, reforms, and a somber lesson. When government actors experiment in shadow, lives can be lost and trust eroded, and the truth often requires relentless scrutiny to surface.